Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Or just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade. Sipping motions and lemonade. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Michegas. Ridiculousness that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proceed, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes are sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Hello, my friends. Hello. Happy Monday. Just another manic Monday. Today is Monday, August 18th, 2025. And thank you so much for coming to spend part of your day with me today. We need to catch up on Kelsey Fitzsimmons. How's everybody doing? Good. I hope everyone had a nice weekend. I hope everyone watched my show with Nurse Kim on Saturday night over at Nurse Kim's house on her channel. We had a lot of fun. It was like a grown-up sleepover. It was like a cross between sleepaway camp and college dorm sleepover, and we had a great time, and I hope you liked it. A lot of you were there, and we had a really good feedback on that show. So thanks for coming to watch it. If you didn't watch it, I don't know what you were doing Saturday night, but go back and watch it because it was a lot of fun. So much fun. Oh, you've never heard of Kelsey Fitzsimmons? Oh, SC, are you in for something? Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Let's start from the beginning. How many are not familiar with Kelsey Fitzsimmons? Well, let me sidetrack for a second while people get a chance to come in. Did you guys see that Julie Miller of Vanity Fair, the same reporter who interviewed Karen Reed, got the interview with Jennifer Aniston? Did anybody read that piece in Vanity Fair? It was so great. And Julie Miller went to Jennifer Aniston's house to interview her. It was such a great article. Highly recommend. I sent her an email because she had interviewed me as well, although I never made it into any of her articles. And we spoke on the phone for quite some time when she interviewed me about Karen Reed's case. And I sent her an email and I said, oh my God, you got the scoop and you got to go to Jennifer Aniston's house. How awesome is that? And she was very appreciative. She's very sweet. Very, very, very sweet. Remember, she lived in Karen Reed. She went and stayed at Karen Reed's house for 3 days when she interviewed her. And people thought that was so weird. And she was pregnant at the time, but Karen Reed gave full access to anybody who wanted her because Karen Reed had nothing to hide because John O'Keefe was not hit by a car and a car did not hit John O'Keefe. And finally, the jury got it right. Well, the first jury got it right too. It's just that Massachusetts is where your constitutional rights go to die. So, double jeopardy. What? No big whoop. No big whoop. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Let me do it right now. I'm thinking of it. I want to put the give, send, go for Kelsey Fitzsimmons in the chat. I'm going to pin it in the chat. So hold tight while I find it. Please, if you don't mind, talk amongst yourselves for a second. Is anybody into the Donna Adelson case? I don't know if I can get into it or not. I know that Jimmy's been doing summer school every morning over on the Auntie Deb channel. For those of you who watch Auntie Deb, and he's been doing a deep dive into Donna Adelson's case, and he's really, 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 really into it. He's really into it. When is the trial supposed to start? They're in jury selection right now, right? And so it's a travel week for me. I'm traveling for the next week starting tomorrow. So I can't do live trial coverage of it, but if you guys want to recap it after you watch your live trial coverage somewhere else, we can recap it. That could be fun. Every couple of days or something. I mean, I can't wait until Wendy Adelson takes the stand. I mean, if I can, do it on certain days, I will, but I can't commit to streaming the whole trial. How long is the trial supposed to be? Does anybody know? Yeah, we could recap, right? Okay. And not if okay, hold on one second. Let me put the Give Send Go to help Kelsey heal in the chat. Tim Bradl is representing Kelsey Fitzsimmons, for those of you who are not familiar with the case, and I will recap it for you in just one second as I pin this in the chat. So give me a sec. All right, here we go. Pin, it is now pinned in the chat. I think when we first started covering this case, there was about $1,500 in the fund, and now there is $5,585, $5,585. Kelsey Fitzsimmons is a North Andover police officer, a new mom who had a 4-month-old baby. Maybe the baby was 5 months old on the date of the incident. She was engaged to a North Andover firefighter named Justin. I have some prior streams on this, which I will link below for you later. I was just rushing to get here, so I didn't get a chance to do all my show notes like I usually do for you guys. So I apologize. She was engaged to a guy named Justin, who's a North Andover firefighter, and their wedding date was supposed to be October 4th of 2025. The wrong thing is pinned. Oh, I pinned Derek Carney's comment. Thank you for telling me. All right, let me go back. It's my fingers because I have to do it on my phone, and so it must have pinned his instead. Thank you for telling me. Okay, there we go. Got it? Good. Good, guys. Nobody's more generous than you guys are, and you know it. I have the papers. I have the papers. Can I recap it first? I'm going to recap it first, Mitchell. I got to catch the people up. But I always have the papers. Okay. So here's what happened. What happened was Kelsey and Justin were engaged. They were scheduled to be married, I think, on October 4th of this year. They went away for like a bachelorette weekend in Maine. And they had a baby back in, wait, let me see if my notes tell me when the baby was born. I think in February of 2025. Kelsey, okay, the baby was born right after Valentine's Day in February of 2025. They had a baby. Kelsey went out on leave from North Andover PD because she was suffering from postpartum depression, very serious postpartum depression. So she went out on leave, and North Andover PD took away her guns. We went into this on another stream. And the chief of North Andover PD has a history of, perhaps, we've looked at some things, not, if you have technical difficulties, try coming out and then coming right back in. So go out of YouTube and then come back in. It's been really wonky lately. It was happening to me last night when I was watching somebody else's show. So go out of YouTube and then come back in, because I'm watching it on my phone and it says it's okay. I'll give you a second to do that, okay? I'm not having any tech issues at all. I'm on Ethernet. Everything looks fine on my end. Everything looks fine on my phone. So it must be a glitch. Can you guys go out of the stream and then come right back in? Seems like only the non-US viewers are having an issue. So if you are outside the US, try and go out of YouTube and come back in. Okay. I'll give you guys a second to do that. It's UK, Scotland, Ireland. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. That stinks. I hate buffering. Nothing is worse than buffering. except for maybe what happened to Kelsey Fitzsimmons. So the baby's born in February of 2025. Kelsey Fitzsimmons suffers from severe postpartum depression, which apparently she had also while she was pregnant. So it's not just a postpartum issue. It was also during the pregnancy. In October of 2024, Justin and Kelsey had announced their engagement, and there was a big article. There was a posting on Facebook. The North Andover Police Fire Department did a big posting on Facebook congratulating them on their engagement, and the wedding was scheduled for October 4th of 2025. Then there was another article that came out in March of 2025 in which it said that North Andover, 9 babies were born in the North Andover Fire Department in 9 months. It's crazy. And then on July 1st of 2025, Justin, the firefighter, fiance, filed a restraining order, a 209A order, which is a DV restraining order in Massachusetts, alleging that Kelsey had an altercation with him in Bethel, Maine on June 28th of 2025. Apparently some people told me that they were on a bachelorette weekend. I'm not really sure, but it seems that there was a lot of family around. There was some sort of altercation that we went over the papers to get the restraining order and all of that stuff. Of course, Kelsey has a completely different story, and Tim Bradl released a statement from Kelsey that was completely different from what Justin alleged in his petition to get the 209A order. And so he filed a restraining order along with a complaint for protection from abuse in Essex Probate and Family Court. He also filed for sole custody at the same time of the baby. So the baby's only about a little over 4 months old. So on July 1st, Justin tells Kelsey to meet him in the beach, in the park, and she goes there with the baby, and he doesn't show up. When she gets home, same day, at around 6 p.m., the North Andover police officers, 3 of them, come to her house to take her baby away and serve her with the restraining order from her fiance, who up to this point had been very, very supportive of her. And all 3 of them that came to the scene were men. They knew that she was suffering from postpartum depression because she was out on leave from the police department. She had filed a petition to get her firearms back, and she had just gotten them back. So here's what I'm just going to say. These 3 cops who were her friends, her coworkers, knew what they were walking into. They knew that she was suffering from postpartum depression. They knew that she had just received her firearms back, and they go there, take her baby away. And then what happens next? There's always 3 sides to every story, right? We're going to look at Kelsey's side of the story today because we have the papers for bail. Long story short, the North Andover PD guys that come are not wearing body cams because North Andover doesn't wear body cams. Kelsey says, after they took her baby away, she saw her life flash before her eyes, and she went and got her firearm, pointed it at herself, and then her friend, a 20-year veteran of North Andover PD, shot her in the chest. She was airlifted to a Boston hospital. She's been in the hospital ever since. She's still in the hospital. She's been fighting for her life. She has undergone at least 3 surgeries. And of course, North Andover PD is saying she pointed her firearm at the officers or the officer. She is charged with 1 felony count of attempted murder with a firearm and 2 felony counts of assault with a weapon. So sad. She's the one charged. None of the police officers are charged. There's no body cam footage, and she's, as of right now, being held without bail. Tim Bradl is her attorney. He's also just been joined by former Attorney General Martha Coakley. She has now become co-counsel. And this is a very, very sad, very tragic story. We also did a show when she was suspended, because now she's been suspended from the police force. And that was on July 14th, 2025. Actually, the day of the shooting. Sorry, why do I have June 30th, 2025? And I have him going to get the order on July 1st. I'm not sure. My dates may be off. We're going to find out, because I have a piece for us to watch from Boston News. She was suspended on July 14th of 2025. There was a post-commission order. We read that together during the prior stream. Then she was arraigned bedside in the hospital on August 7th of 2025 on Zoom for the attempted murder, armed, and 2 counts of assault with a dangerous weapon. And then last Thursday, there was a bail hearing, a dangerousness hearing, also from the hospital. Tim Bradl, I think, did appear in court. I tried to get on the Zoom for that, but because we were covering the Brian Walsh hearing at the same time, when I got on the Zoom for her hearing, I missed it. So we're going to look at the news clips or the news articles or the news pieces from that day first, and then we are going to look at the papers that were filed prior to the hearing. Here we go.
Andover police officer.
Hang on one second. All right, here we go.
Who was shot by fellow members. Andover police officer who was shot by fellow members of the force appeared in a courtroom Zoom today as her defense attorney argued that she should be released. He also says investigators are not telling the truth about what happened. WBZ's Beth Romano is live in Salem. And Beth, I know we are also learning more about what happened before this shooting.
Well, it's a case with many layers and now accusations of lies on both sides. Kelsey Fitzsimmons is charged with armed assault to murder in a confrontation with fellow police officers. But her attorneys say there are 2 sides to the story as a judge considers if she is a danger. It's the first time seeing 28-year-old Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Her attorneys in court fighting for her to be let out on bail, calling the case against her a he said, she said situation, not a criminal case, when she allegedly pointed a gun and attempted to shoot a fellow officer inside her North Andover home. Her family there to support her.
We just hope she gets home soon. We don't believe that Kelsey pointed her gun at anyone except herself.
Tim Bradl. There's Tim Bradl, if you're not looking at your screen.
It started June 30th when 3 officers arrived at the home to issue a restraining order that had been taken out by Fitzsimmons' fiancée, worried she could harm their baby born in February and him. Fitzsimmons has admitted to postpartum depression after the birth, voluntarily undergoing a mental health evaluation, according to her attorney, who says the condition is not a permanent one.
But here's the thing. It's not that she admitted to it. The police department knew about it. That's why she was out on leave. They knew.
This was a transient episode that was brought on by an unimaginable confluence of events for Kelsey. And it's over and it's gone and she's fine. And that's what the court needs to understand.
That June night, attorneys say Fitzsimmons went to a second-floor bedroom to get clothes for her baby who was being removed from the home. One of the 3.
See, they already had her baby. They had her baby in their possession. So she went to her bedroom on the second floor. We didn't know this part of it.
The officers following her upstairs, who claims she suddenly grabbed her service weapon and fired with an empty chamber.
She racked the gun to load a round into the chamber. When she did that, he fired one shot, missed, and fired another shot. There's no.
Okay, so now it sounds like what it sounds like to me is that the one person who went up with Kelsey to the second floor bedroom with her is her friend, a 20-year veteran of the North Andover PD. Here's the other thing that they're not telling us right now, but we know this because we've read all the papers. About 1 year before this incident occurred, Kelsey and this same police officer responded to a call in which a new mother took her own life and the baby's life. And they both responded to that call, and they saw that the whole thing happened, and they were both suffering from severe PTSD from that incident. Both of them. Seems like he's the only witness. He's the one who shoots her in the chest. Yeah, and that's horrific, right? All right, if you're outside the US, YouTube is having issues. It's buffering. I apologize, but there's nothing that I can do. Inside the US, we're not having those issues, so it's not StreamYard. It's an outside the US issue. So I don't know, you guys maybe be better on replay. No body cams with North Andover. Nope. All right. So I just took it back a little tiny bit so we can listen to full-on Tim Bradl. Let's hear their story again. Okay. The baby was being removed. So she goes up to the second floor bedroom to get some clothes for the baby.
Claims she suddenly grabbed her service weapon and fired with an empty chamber.
She racked the gun to load a round into the chamber. When she did that, he fired one shot, missed, and fired another shot. There's no body camera. There was no other officer up there. There's 3 different stories, versions of what exactly was said in the reports before.
Her attorneys say Fitzsimmons, who was shot in the chest, has been slowly recovering and has never been heard in this case, while she's also fighting a custody battle. Former Attorney General Martha Coakley has become a co-defense counsel.
Our real goal is to make sure that she is heard, that the truth comes out about what really happened here, and our client is innocent.
Now, prosecutors say all of this allegedly happened after Fitzsimmons was cleared to return to the force and that she remains a danger to herself and others. Her attorneys say if bail is granted, there is a plan for her release and that these are untested allegations. Reporting live from outside Salem Superior Courthouse, I'm Beth Germano, WBZ News.
All right, Beth, thank you.
Well, Erica, the judge says she wants.
Okay, another article. This is another news piece. Sorry, from WCVB5. Same day as the dangerousness hearing. Yes, she was pregnant at the time that they responded to that call, Kirsty Nursiam. She was pregnant at the time that they responded to that call. It was horrific. And that is very, very, very tragic. All right, let's go to hear what WCVB says about it.
To carefully go through all of the documents connected to this case before making a decision. For now, North Andover police officer Kelsey Fitzsimmons will be held without bail after prosecutors say she pointed her police service gun at a fellow officer.
She says she is extremely adamant that never happened. She said she did not do that. We don't believe that Kelsey pointed her gun at anyone except herself. And that's not a danger that warrants deadly force.
Yeah, for some reason they just stopped talking there, and then it's silent until it goes on again. I don't know. It's weird. This is their footage, so it's not your TV.
Your courthouse. Again, the judge wanting to go through all of those court documents, carefully reviewing. Prosecutors say Fitzsimmons pointed her service weapon at a fellow officer. Those officers were serving a restraining order at her house at the end of June. Again, the prosecutors say she pointed her gun at her fellow officers. That officer, as prosecutors say, was fearing for his life and shot her. Fitzsimmons has been in the hospital since. Her attorney, you heard him just a moment ago saying she did not point her gun at anyone. That was a point that was brought up several times during the court hearing today. Again, the judge saying she wants to carefully go through all of those documents before making decision about Fitzsimmons' bail. Live in Salem, Emily Maha, WCVB News Center 5.
Taylor Confetti says, if you, Confetti Fairy, Taylor Confetti Fairy says, if you've never had your child ripped away from you, you cannot appreciate the absolute and immediate devastation. Of course, that would push a woman already suffering from PPD over the edge. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Did they need to use deadly force? Could they have tasered her? Could they have brought a mental health professional? Because they knew exactly what they were walking into. It's not like a lot of calls that officers go on, I'm kindergarten cop, you can back me up on this. You have no idea what you're walking into, right? A lot of times, if it's a stranger, somebody you don't know, you have no idea what you're walking into. But here they knew exactly what they were walking into. They knew Kelsey was out on leave from the police department because of her postpartum psychosis or depression. They knew that they were going to take her baby away, and they know her. And they know that she just got her weapons back. So they had a much better indication of what they were walking into than perhaps some other calls that they would go into where they had no idea what they were walking into, right? Exactly, like they knew her, which makes this so much worse too. Right. I didn't realize. I thought the other two officers were also witnesses because we've never really received the full story until just now. But it appears that it's just that one officer and Kelsey. So he said, she said. Right? And Olivia says, Melanie, don't you find it weird that this PD is the one that responded? Aren't they conflicted given they're all colleagues? I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what their internal, seems like from everything that we know from the other cases that we've looked at, they don't seem to have any policies and procedure in Massachusetts that are actually ever followed. So it's hard to say, but should they have at least brought mental health help? I mean, could this have been handled in a better way? Did they need to use deadly force? I mean, maybe they thought, right, maybe they thought it would be easier if a friend did it, says Aaron. Maybe he acted irrationally due to his own PTSD. Exactly. Why don't they have body cams? I think that, did they have a reason for that? Or did they just say it's not in the budget? We can't afford it. Megan wants to know. Don't recall. I don't recall. Looks like StreamYard is having an issue too, but I see that you made mistakes in your email. If you know, you know, sent 10 gifted memberships. Thank you so very much for gifting 10 memberships. And to everyone who was gifted, welcome. So I guess that means the super chats are not going to come up on my end either. So not only is YouTube having issues, but apparently StreamYard is having issues too. Somebody else said they were watching a White House press conference and it went out in the middle. So I guess it's not just outside the US, it's both. And so there should be mental health professional present, says Amy, and I agree. Let's take a look at the motion to be admitted to personal recognizance or reasonable bail under Section 58 of the bail statute. This was filed by Tim Bradl, one of her attorneys now. I don't know a lot about Martha Coakley. If any of you guys know about Martha Coakley, maybe you could just let me know a little bit about her in the chat because so many of you are local. This was filed on the 7th of August. The dangerousness hearing was on the 14th. And so here we are for the papers. With the papers. Okay. Now comes Ms. Kelsey Fitzsimmons, defendant herein, and hereby moves that personal recognizance be granted in the case pursuant to the legislative presumption of personal recognizance in the bail statute, General Law 276, Section 58. District Court shall admit such person to bail on his personal recognizance without surety unless said justice, clerk, or assistant clerk, bail commissioner, or master in chancery determines in the exercise of his discretion that such a release will not reasonably assure the appearance of the person before the court. Here, as established below, there are no risks associated with Ms. Fitzsimmons returning to court and no danger factors warranting any other such bail determination that the Commonwealth may try to muster. Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Ms. Fitzsimmons is a lifelong North Shore resident with indelible roots in the community from her upbringing, family, friends, job, and education. She went through the Methuen public school system from kindergarten to senior year in high school. When she graduated high school, she continued her education at Fisher College in Boston, Mass., majoring in criminal justice. She chose criminal justice with the goal of becoming a police officer, a career that was a lifelong calling for her. While studying criminal justice, she became the president of the Criminal Justice Club, where she was responsible for hosting many events on campus that pertain to important topics related to criminal justice, such as DV, suicide awareness, fire safety, etc. She was inducted into the Criminal Justice Honor Society. Ms. Fitzsimmons held a position at 2 different jobs that pertain to her major. Through Fisher College Campus Police, she held a work-study position as a dorm proctor, where she was responsible for checking the IDs of everyone who entered the dorm building and ensuring that all students were following the dorm rules and regulations. She also obtained a job working security at Fenway Park. As security at Fenway, she interacted with fans and guests to be observant and proactive for any disruptive behavior occurring during games or concerts, and also screened and searched fans before they entered the park. Kelsey graduated college in May of 2020 during the peak of the C-19 pandemic. So she's only, I think, 27. Unfortunately, her career plans were delayed as there were no police academies running during this time. She decided to continue her education and go to law school, and took night classes while working as a paralegal during the day. After completing her first year of law school, she realized it was not her passion. She applied to the Essex County Sheriff's Department, completed the academy, and was employed as a corrections officer there for 2 years. She was a CO. In Kelsey's own words, working as a corrections officer taught me a lot and was a great stepping stone, but I knew my end goal was to be a police officer. I applied to the North Andover Police Department, went through the hiring process, and was accepted into the police academy. I successfully completed the police academy while holding the position as treasurer of the academy. I was then sworn into the North Andover Police Department and successfully completed my required hours of field training. After a lot of hard work and a lot of years of gaining experience to get where I wanted to be, I finally had my dream job of being a police officer. I knew that there was no other job that would fulfill me like this one. Ms. Fitzsimmons has dedicated her life to 2 things: her law enforcement career and her baby. She has never harmed or threatened to harm her baby. Like countless new mothers, she had suffered from a transient bout of postpartum depression. She has been found by an expert clinician to be not dangerous and deserving of reunification immediately with her child. See report and CV of Dr. Paul Zeisel filed herewith. As of the date of this incident, she was cleared to return to work as a police officer. Her license to carry was restored. She's scheduled to be returning to work on July 4th, 2025. That day, and not July 4th, the day of this event, June 30th, her significant other and baby's father betrayed her with lies and false allegations designed to take her baby from her and extract himself in the worst faith and cowardly fashion imaginable from their relationship. He told her to meet him at a local park and instead stood her and the baby up, and instead went and got an ex parte restraining order with an affidavit full of shocking lies. Footnote 1, which says, in no free society should a person be able to go to a court, fill out a form, and send the police to a new mother's home and take a baby away from her without any opportunity to be heard. If there are allegations of imminent bodily harm, that is a matter for police and 911, not the court system listening to one side of an issue from a private party with their own agenda and ulterior motives, seeking a leg up on future custody matters. It is time for legislative reform of this aspect of Chapter 209A. Wow, look at Tim Bradl. Tim Bradl is so passionate about the Constitution. We know that. How do we know that? Well, he represents Aiden Carney, aka Turtleboy, and he is in a fierce fight for the First Amendment rights of journalists and other people who are Massachusetts residents. He is also fighting for journalistic privilege, and he's also fighting for perhaps an amendment of the witness intimidation statute in Massachusetts, which in my opinion could be unconstitutional on its face. Because if you hurt someone's feelings in Massachusetts and they happen to be a potential witness or a family member of a witness, if you hurt their feelings, you can be brought up on felony witness intimidation charges, which is what we see happening with Aiden Carney. He's facing 105 years in prison. Back to the document. Kelsey went home, and 3 male North Andover colleague police officers came to the house serving the order, taking the baby, her future marriage, and her career with them all at once in the space of minutes without her ever being heard or able to defend herself. She never pointed a gun at any officer. Unfortunately, the department's decision to avoid body cameras leaves the case as a he said, she said affair and seriously affects the strength of the Commonwealth case, a highly relevant factor in the bail determination. Kelsey was shot in her chest and has been hospitalized, fighting for her life since June 30th of 2025. Today, as a reminder, is August 18th. She's been in the hospital for, I don't know, how many weeks now? 7 weeks, at least. A little over 7 weeks. After the instant shooting endangering her life and resulting in the charges against her, Ms. Fitzsimmons has gone on record adamantly denying the allegation that she pointed a gun at a colleague and fellow law enforcement officer. She is and is presumed innocent. She is also entitled to the presumption of personal recognizance. These immutable principles come together in this case to compel only one result: release on personal recognizance. Applicable law. Give me 1 second. I apologize, but StreamYard is not putting the super chats into their own column like they're supposed to do. So I just had to scroll back on my phone, and thank you for your 10. A desire for civil discourse says, can't imagine getting a court order to take her child away based on a single argument with some sort of altercation. Even so, you would think they'd have to have a social worker to take an infant. I would think that too. However, they didn't do it. But, you know, we know from all the cases that we've been covering in thank you for your 10. All the cases that we've been covering in Massachusetts that they don't always do things by the book. Under Massachusetts General Law 276, Section 58, bail is made the exception to the release of an individual on personal recognizance. There is a clear and strong presumption in the law that someone arrested should be released upon their promise to appear back in court on a given date. Under the bail statute, the district or municipal court justice will make a bail determination by taking into account, quote, the nature and circumstances of the offense charged, the potential penalty the person faces, the person's family ties, financial resources, employment record, and history of mental illness, his reputation in the community, his record of convictions, if any illegal drug distribution or present drug dependency, any flight to avoid prosecution or fraudulent use of an alias or false identifications, any failure to appear at any court proceeding to answer to an offense, whether the acts involve abuse or violation of a temporary or permanent restraining order, or whether the person has any history of such orders, and whether he is on release pending sentence or appeal for any conviction. See Commonwealth v. Norman. Only permissible goals of pretrial conditions of release were ensuring the defendant's return to court and her presence at trial, and safeguarding the integrity of the judicial process by protecting witnesses from intimidation and other forms of influence. Ms. Fitzsimmons denies the charges herein and maintains she is not guilty. Ms. Fitzsimmons has a devoted family and a 5-month-old baby whom she earnestly wishes to raise, cherish, support, and continue to assist in caretaking. She's a lifelong resident with very strong roots in the community. Ms. Fitzsimmons poses no flight risk whatsoever. She has everything to gain by staying with her family and fighting these abominable charges and clearing her name. She has undisputed clinical support for her lack of dangerousness. Conclusion. For the foregoing reasons, Ms. Fitzsimmons respectfully requests that the court grant her personal recognizance. Wherefore, defendant respectfully requests that the court issue appropriate orders in the interests of justice as set forth above. XOXO. Timothy Bradl, one of our favorites. And so the dangerousness hearing was held on Zoom on August 14th, which was just, I believe, last Thursday. And the judge took it under advisement, said she would render her decision later. And she did, 1 day later on Friday. And here is a copy of the judge's decision. This was in, what court was this in? Hang on 1 second. Essex, I think. The case right now is pending in Lawrence District Court, but I believe that the bail petition was in Lawrence. Let's take a look at the decision. Findings in order on motion for detention under General Law 276, 58A. Commonwealth versus Kelsey Fitzsimmons. And this is the Superior Court review of Section 58A order entered in, and then there was nothing checked off here. Findings. The court makes the following findings under General Law 276, Section 58A in support of the order on page 2 of this form. Number 1, the defendant is charged with an offense specified in 58A1, and it says here, armed assault/attempted murder. It's like chicken scratch, it's hard to read. Assault with a deadly weapon. Box 2 is checked off, says the nature and seriousness of the danger posed to any person or the community would result from the defendant's release. Again, chicken scratch. It is alleged that on June 30th, 2025, members of the North Andover PD went to the defendant's residence to serve her with a restraining order. The defendant is also a North Andover police officer. Oh, here's a little tip for you when you're trying to decode these documents. A triangle stands for defendant. Now you know. It is alleged that the defendant told the police officers that her weapons were sealed in the basement or secured in the basement. The plaintiff in the restraining order, the defendant's fiance, anybody want to guess what this word is here? The plaintiff in the restraining order, the defendant's fiance, blank, as the defendant was gathering her infant child's belongings, period. It is alleged that while in a bedroom, the defendant reached for a firearm and pointed it at a fellow police officer. The defendant pulled the trigger, but no round came out. It's alleged that the defendant attempted to rack another round in the chamber, prompting police officer, I don't know what that says, but it looks like Noonan, to shoot her. Alleged someone can't spell. Armed. The plaintiff in the restraining order, the defendant's fiance, blank. I don't know. I just can't. I don't know what the, because he wasn't there. The fiance was not there. I believe this is the judge's handwriting. Other boxes checked off say the defendant's employment record, the defendant's history of mental illness, that's checked off. And then it says the defendant's criminal record, it says none in Massachusetts, out of state intoxication, disturbance, maybe? That was in Maine. That was what caused him to allegedly go file for the restraining order. Additional findings. The court has not been presented with a satisfactory release plan signed by the judge, whose name I can't read. Then there's a whole bunch of chicken scratch on the next page. Pretrial detention. After a hearing under General Law, Section 276, at the Commonwealth's request, and after careful something upside down, careful consideration of both sides, I find, based on clear and convincing evidence, that no condition of release imposed on the defendant will reasonably assure the safety of another person, namely Police Officer Noonan or the community. I therefore order the defendant detained pending trial. The defendant shall be brought to trial as soon as reasonably possible, but in the absence of good cause found by the court, the defendant shall not be detained for a period exceeding 180 days or 120 days for district court, BMC, or juvenile court, excluding any period of delay as defined in Rule 36. I further order that the defendant be committed to custody or confinement in a correctional facility separate to the extent practicable from persons awaiting or serving a sentence or being held in custody pending appeal for Superior Court, District Court, or BMC. The defendant shall be afforded reasonable opportunity for private consultation with counsel. The court's reasons for this order are stated on page 1 of this form. And so this judge found that she is to be held without bail, but she's still in the hospital. So I guess when she's able to be released from the hospital, she will go straight to jail. She's very lucky to be alive. She's been fighting for her life. And then here is the notice of decision of petition for review of bail. This was in the Lawrence District Court, Commonwealth versus Kelsey Fitzsimmons. So her felony charges right now are pending in Lawrence District Court, but the proceeding for the dangerousness hearing was in Essex County Superior Court in Salem. So there's 2 case numbers for this. There's the bail petition case number, and then there's the felony case number, which is still in Lawrence District Court because it has not been removed yet to Superior Court, but I imagine that it will be soon after a grand jury indictment, assuming they indict her. On the petition for review of decision denying the release on personal recognizance was held on 8/15/25. The Honorable, this is her name, couldn't read it, Kathleen McCarthy-Neyman, Neyman, has made the following order. Bail petition denied. Defendant remains held without bail. I don't know what her condition is right now. Judge McCarthy-Neyman, Honorable Kathleen. The petitioner shall be committed to the jail until he or she shall enter a recognizance pursuant to this order. And that was issued last Friday, August 15th. But never fear, because Tim Bradl is here and he's already filed for it to be re-argued. And this is a renewed Superior Court bail appeal with comprehensive release plan for reconsideration, because in the court order it said you didn't provide a release plan, so now he's providing a release plan. And this was filed on August 17th, which is yesterday. Look at us, we're on top of the papers. We're on top of the papers. Yes, Lindsay, yes. Lindsay Tyler says, oops. Yet they're releasing hundreds of poor criminals because they have no public defenders to represent them make it make sense. Yeah. Because the public defenders in Massachusetts, the bar advocates are only paid $65 an hour, and that is not even really a living wage in Massachusetts. And so they're on strike. As they should be. They should be paid more than $65 an hour. And they also should be paid, I think they should be paid the same as the DAs are paid. The ADAs that are hired by every county, they should be paid comparably, don't you? Crazy. Let's take a look at the renewed petition. Commonwealth v. Kelsey Fitzsimmons renewed Superior Court bail appeal with comprehensive release plan for reconsideration. Now comes Ms. Kelsey Fitzsimmons, defendant herein, renewing her bail petition and providing the court, Judge McCarthy-Neyman, with her comprehensive release plan for reconsideration. Footnote 1. Oops. Which says, as to the court's power to reconsider, Rule 13A5 of the Massachusetts Rules of Criminal Procedure codifies a judge's inherent power to reconsider his or her own rulings if a substantial justice requires. Although renewal is appropriate where new or additional grounds are alleged which could not reasonably have been known when the motion was originally filed, the remedy is not restricted to those circumstances. A judge's power to reconsider his own decisions during the pendency of a case is firmly rooted in the common law, and the adoption of Rule 13 was not intended to disturb this authority. See Commonwealth v. Cronk. Commonwealth v. Downs, judges are not condemned to abstain from entertaining second thoughts that may be better ones. The court, in denying the bail petition on August 15th, 2025, specified in the findings that the court has not been presented with a satisfactory release plan. See docket findings in order. Incorporating all arguments, statements, and prior exhibits in her bail petition herein by reference, Ms. Fitzsimmons adds the following specifics to her proposed comprehensive release plan. Thank you, Gen X 1968, who's been with me for 13 months and says, thank you for keeping us updated on Kelsey. Thank you guys for being interested in this story. Incorporating all arguments, statements, and prior exhibits in her bail petition herein by reference, Ms. Fitzsimmons adds the following specifics to her proposed comprehensive release plan. Number 1, she agrees under Section 87 of Chapter 276 to be under the pretrial supervision of the Essex County Probation Department and their discretionary power for making home visits, imposing regular reporting, whether in prison or by phone, at intervals of their selection. 2, she agrees under Section 87 of Chapter 276 to wear a GPS bracelet for 24-hour monitoring as required by the court and requests a 90-day review date for this requirement. She agrees under Section 87 of Chapter 276 to sign releases allowing probation to monitor attendance and compliance with the comprehensive medical plan set forth herein below. She agrees under Section 87, Chapter 276 to not leave the state except by request to the court upon a signed waiver of rendition. 5, she agrees on under Section 87 of Chapter 276 to follow the medical plan of her treating psychiatrist, Mladen Nisevic, MD, of the Burn Trauma Psychiatric Service at MGH, I guess that's Massachusetts General Hospital, Boston, and team at Massachusetts General Hospital. See the MGH report filed with the original bail petition. 6, therein on August 10th, 2025, Dr. Nisevic found, quote, accordingly, at this time, the patient is found to no longer meet Section 12 criteria and is appropriate for outpatient care once medically stabilized and discharged. As I said earlier, if you're tuning in late, Kelsey's undergone at least 3 surgeries for the gunshot wound that she took to her chest. This will specifically include establishment and ongoing engagement with individual psychiatry and counseling, one-on-one weekly therapy, as well as step down to partial hospitalization level of care once discharged to the community and home setting. Our team will work with the patient and hospital psychiatry case management to ensure these resources are in place prior to discharge. The patient has been in full agreement with the above outlined plan. 7. Ms. Fitzsimmons will follow this plan subject to probation monitoring beyond one-on-one weekly therapy under the supervision of the MGH case management team to ensure partial hospitalization level of care remains. Dr. Paul Zeisel, Ms. Fitzsimmons' psychologist, will provide cognitive model psychotherapy 3 times per week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and engage in ongoing psychiatry consult for medication as necessary. Number 8, Ms. Fitzsimmons agrees to reside with her family as set forth in the family release plan filed herewith, subject to review and monitoring by the probation department. All family members are committed to providing a safe and stable environment for Ms. Fitzsimmons as set forth therein. 9, finally, she agrees under Section 87 of Chapter 276 to abide by all standard terms of the Massachusetts probation contract form. 10, Ms. Fitzsimmons agrees to all the foregoing terms and asks the court to impose the proposed restrictions by agreement under Section 87 of Chapter 276 rather than Section 58A. This deference to the probate and family court on dangerousness findings will allow that court in the pending custody and restraining order proceedings to apply its skill set and make their own restraining order and child custody findings in the case based on full evidentiary hearings after taking evidence from both sides in the form of witness testimony subject to cross-examination, medical records, and potential expert testimony subject to cross-examination, and decide issues relative to child custody, likelihood of dangerousness, and necessity of a restraining order. So he's saying, kick it back to the probate and family court to determine everything altogether instead of hearing this in a vacuum, because everything here was done ex parte. There was no cross-examination. It was just Justin, the fiance, going into court to get his restraining order, and everything was based on his side of the story. If the court declines to provide such deference, and if the court does not wish to apply Section 87, Ms. Fitzsimmons asks that the court not deny her motion, but rather impose the above terms of release in its sound discretion. Conclusion. For the foregoing reasons, Ms. Fitzsimmons respectfully requests that the court grant her terms of release. Wherefore, defendant respectfully requests that the court issue appropriate orders in the interest of justice as set forth above. Dated August 17th, 2025, XOXO, Timothy Bradl. Jojo, thank you for your 20, says, Melanie, I find it strange for a judge who's a woman to not have more understanding and knowledge how circumstances does not warrant an arrest, like WTF. Well, Jojo, I know where you're coming from. I hear you. We see it a lot. Martha Coakley also signed off on this. She's the former Attorney General, the state of Massachusetts. And now she's in private practice with the Zucker Law Group in Boston, Mass. Attached as Exhibit A is the home support plan. So they have to provide a release plan, and they're providing it now. And here it is. Home support plan for Kelsey Fitzsimmons. I redacted most of the information, like the address. Household overview. The primary residents are her mother, stepfather, her brother who's 19, her brother's girlfriend who's 19, and her sister who's 17. Returning resident, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, accompanied by her pet golden retriever, Maverick. Home layout. So I guess the baby wouldn't be going with her because I guess the baby's been taken away. I don't know whose custody the baby is in now. Whether it's the fiance. It's probably the fiance. It's what he wanted when he went and got his order, so. Returning resident, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, accompanied by, oh, I did that already. Home layout, 4-bedroom, single-family home. Kelsey will have her own private bedroom, adequate living space, shared family areas, and outdoor yard space. 2, support system, day-to-day support. Multiple adult family members are home at different times of the day, ensuring Kelsey will not be alone. Mother has a very flexible work schedule and has the ability to change hours to be home with Kelsey on any given day. Household members are committed to providing both emotional support and practical assistance, meals, transportation, daily check-ins. Emotional and family support. Strong family presence from mother, stepfather, siblings, and extended family is needed. Open communication within the household to provide a stable and encouraging environment. Medical and mental health support. Transportation available to and from medical therapy or counseling appointments. Family members will help monitor follow-up care plans and encourage compliance with treatment recommendations. 3, safety and stability. Kelsey will have her own bedroom and private space to ensure comfort and independence. Her dog will also live in the house, providing familiarity and emotional support. The household provides a structured environment with routines that promote stability and security. Thank you, Mrs. Bouquet, for your super sticker. And yeah, I think it's YouTube and StreamYard together are having having issues. They're glitching. Make sure you're still subscribed. Make sure you smash the like button. Let's do it now while we're thinking about it. And if you're on replay, great time to hit the like button because it helps the algorithm. And then it says, here's what it is. It was a super sticker as it came up on my phone, but on the StreamYard, it comes up as mood written with smiley faces as the OO. I don't know what's the world is on. I don't know what's going on. Thank you, Mrs. Bouquet, for your super sticker. 4, commitment of household. All family members have agreed to provide consistent support and supervision when needed, assist in creating a calm, safe environment, free of unnecessary stressors, encourage healthy habits such as regular meals, rest, and participation in family life. And that's what they're submitting to the court with regard to her release plan. The whole world is buffering these days. I feel that way too. Thank you, Boston Girl 79. Charissa, you change your name? Did you change your name? Will the judge change her mind and let Kelsey post bail? Guess it's anybody's guess over there in whatever county they're in. Essex County. For those of you who are not familiar with this case, I'll read to you the statement that Bradl released on Kelsey's behalf back on July 9th. So the matter has been put over until August 28th of 2025. In Lawrence District Court, there will be a probable cause hearing, which we will cover on August 28th. No future date yet on the rehearing of the bail petition. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? Let me find Bradl's statement for you. For those of you not familiar, I'm sure you'd like to see this. On the letterhead of the Law Office of Timothy Bradl, PC. This is dated July 9th of 2025 for immediate release. Tim Bradl says, please do direct all inquiries to Attorney Bradl. Please do not attempt to contact the Fitzsimmons family. RE. North Andover police officer Kelsey Fitzsimmons retains the law office of Timothy Bradl after North Andover police take her 4-month-old baby, shoot her in the chest, and in concert with Massachusetts State Police and Essex District Attorney, charge her with serious crimes. Dated July 9th, 2025. The law office of Timothy J. Bradl, PC, is pleased and honored to announce that North Andover police officer Kelsey Fitzsimmons and her family have retained attorney Timothy Bradl. He will represent Kelsey for all matters related to the life-threatening injuries she sustained after being shot in the chest by a fellow officer in the North Andover Police Department. She was shot in connection with the service of a restraining order obtained by surprise in an ex parte fashion by the father of her 4-month-old baby, seeking to take the child away from her. She was confronted by 3 men from her department, and in an instant, her baby, her job, and her future with her fiancé were all taken from her. We had hoped to address the details of this case solely in court, but a probate court affidavit full of hearsay and self-serving allegations was deliberately and widely leaked, smearing Kelsey's name in the press. This was not an accident. It was a strategy, and we must set the record straight to assure fairness for our client. Kelsey is a new mother who was manifesting symptoms of postpartum depression at the time of the incident. She needed help. She needed compassion. What she got instead was gunfire, and now an appalling campaign to criminalize her in order to deflect accountability from the agency responsible for this botched response. Instead of de-escalation, she was met with deadly force. Police officers have a duty to assess the specific circumstances before responding with deadly force at the first sight of a weapon. Massachusetts law prohibits the use of deadly force against a person exhibiting only a danger to herself. We will address the, quote, shoot first fallacy, end quote, held by some law enforcement officers, that the instant a gun appears, that the only response is to fire first. Other options, such as move, create space, find cover, are not adequately considered. We will also examine officer-created jeopardy, whereby, due to inadequate training or inappropriate response, an officer creates dangerous circumstances in a call that are in turn met by a deadly force police response. We will obtain any and all training records and prior incidents in such cases. We intend to fight these charges with every legal resource available. We will demand full transparency and follow every lead where it takes us. We will call out every contradiction and expose every lie. Today, we speak on behalf of Kelsey Fitzsimmons. She needs another voice to speak for her because she remains in grave condition in the hospital as those with contrary interests are circling the wagons, leveling serious criminal charges and leaking their self-serving probate court affidavits in an attempt to discredit her as she fights for her life. We call on the public, the media, and all those who care about due process and accountability to watch this case closely and wait for all the facts to come out. Consider issues related to postpartum depression in young mothers and the use of deadly force by police when faced with those suffering from emotional or mental impairment. This should never have happened, and it must never happen again. Hashtag Justice for Kelsey. Signed, Tim Bradl. I'm surprised, and you tell me because a lot of you I know are Massachusetts locals, but this case is not getting more attention. Did you even see it on the news? Did you see that the dangerousness hearing happened? Did anybody even see this? She's charged with 3 felonies. Thanks for asking, people watcher. She is charged with attempted murder, armed, assault to murder, armed, it says, and 2 counts of assault with a dangerous weapon. Oh, it's Taylor Swift's countdown. Taylor Swift was counting down something for I don't know what time, 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Maybe that's why you think that's why the whole internet is slow. I don't know. So she is charged with 3 felonies. The officer, her friend who shot her in the chest, is charged with none. And it's very sad, very, very sad. And it reminds me, Neen Mock says, I never even heard about this case. I'm in New Hampshire, but we hear about Massachusetts all the time. Yes, they're charging her with attempted murder. They are, because why? Why do you think they're charging her with attempted murder? It's a he said, she said, and doesn't look so great for the police department, does it? If they're using deadly force. This reminds me of a leak that we found. One of the emails that we found in the Michael Marcy email dump of the 4,000 pages of emails, and I went through about 3,000 of them. One of the emails that we found was a taser report. Do you remember? And I looked up the case because then I fell into the rabbit hole. Call me Alice. Michael Marcy was forwarding a taser report to a couple of people in the DA's office and maybe the police officers that were involved in it. And it was involving a taser incident where 2 police officers tasered a guy who they deemed to be dangerous. And then he died while in police custody from allegedly a heart attack. And they didn't press any charges against the police officers. But it indicates to me that they do have tasers. And it doesn't seem like that was even an option here. And he shot her in the chest. Is that shooting to kill? I'm just a lawyer. I'm not an officer, a police officer, but I've done enough research on it and I've covered enough cases. Kim says, I can't even believe they would charge her with that. Mike B from the 413 celebrates 1 month of membership. Where is the main reports to support 209A? Well, we went over them on another stream. And I will link those streams below, Mike. We went over them in the beginning of the case. Oh, Phil Campo says, public defenders should be paid comparably to the ADAs. Lally makes $149K after 20 years. That's $70 an hour. Seems like they're paid about the same. Oh, man, I guess you're right. After 20 years, he's only making 149. The year that he tried the first Karen Reed case, he made 140 that year. And he was working, I mean, overtime, around the clock, right? And Brennan comes in and gets paid something like $566K for not even a year's worth of work. Music My Soul says, y'all stop blaming Taylor Swift. It's not her fault. Her countdown ended at 2 p.m. Eastern and it was on her website, not YouTube. I know. We love Taylor Swift. It's okay. It's okay. I won't allow it. No Taylor Swift bashing. There we go. It says, I live in Massachusetts and I've only heard of this from watching you go over the Karen Reed trial. This is awful. Absolutely disgusting that nothing has been reported. Share the story out, you guys. Tim Bradl is representing her. Eileen says, I suffer from mental illness. No one cared when I needed help. The Taunton police sucked. Sweet Woman says, people don't even like to talk about the Lindsay Clancy case. They don't want to have to admit our mental health system is broken for another one. Oh, I have all the papers on that. You're right. I got to get into Lindsay Clancy soon. But I know the second I go on vacation tomorrow and have so much to do while I'm there on vacation, that's when the Karen Reed civil case is going to drop. And I know I'm bringing all my stuff with me. So don't worry. I won't be totally off the grid in case something breaks. So there's that. Dog Treat says Lally is making what he's actually worth. Robin says, I want to know what was up with the park situation. That warrants an explanation. I wonder if that was where he intended to have her served in a public place. And then for some reason, it didn't work out. That's what I was thinking too. Do you think that he tried to get her to the park so that they could serve her in a public place? So something like this wouldn't happen. And then they pulled the plug on that plan. Right? That's what I was thinking, Robin. Chris C says, look no further than Twitter to see how bad the mental health crisis is. The trolls in particular. I know. I'm with you on that. I did a poll the other day. 80% of my audience does not engage on Twitter. So there you go. Aiden, Karen T says, did she go? She did go to the park and she was stood up. And KBD says, I really think that was his plan. Oh, you're watching me on vacation. Thank you, Lady Lore. You make mistakes in your email. Thanks for your 5. Says, officer involved shooting. How long did the friend officer have time off until the investigation is completed? I would bet 0. I don't know. I would like to take a poll though to see how many of you are following the Donna Adelson case. So let me put that poll up because I'm curious if you want to do recaps on it. There you go. Polls up. Thank you, Bridget. With an empty gun, attempted murder, ridiculous. I think there's always 3 sides to every story, right? And that's what Bradl's arguing. Look, you're only hearing one side of the story. Where's the body-worn camera? There wasn't any. There wasn't any. Hi, Mama She. Been here for 12 months. I know I've been quiet, but always here because you're the best. Oh, you're the best. No, you're the best. Yeah. Summer Love says, please cover Adelson. I can't commit to the full trial. All right, now that I can pay attention to chat again. How long is the Adelson trial supposed to be? What are they estimating? Tracy says, I follow it on Kathy's channel. I love Kathy. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. We love Kathy. But Kathy doesn't do full-on trial coverage, right? She does recaps. I know a lot of people are covering it full-on. Donna Adelson. Donna Adelson is... Can you guys see the poll? I don't know why I can't see it on my phone. Maybe because I'm the one who put it up. Donna Adelson. This is like from 11 years ago. This has to do with the murder of Dan Markel. Dan Markel was the ex-husband of Wendy Adelson, who is Donna Adelson's daughter. A lot of people have already been tried and convicted for the murder for hire of Dan Markel, including Charlie, the son of Donna Adelson, and the hitmen and women. Each side estimates up to 7 days. Okay, so it could take a couple, 2.5 weeks of trial. Yeah, I can't commit to the whole thing because I'll be away. And here's the thing. I know how much you guys love me, and I love you back. I really do. Love it with all of my heart. But the thing is that because I'm traveling so much with getting the twins back to college in the next couple of weeks, I can't commit to doing it every single day. And you know what happens when I cover a trial and I miss a day, everyone gets very, very upset. And then I redirect, and then they're not happy with where I redirect to. And then I don't want anybody to be upset. So I think maybe we should just do like, catch-ups on it. So anyway, Donna Adelson is now on trial because she, after the killing of Dan Markel, or at some point, bought a one-way ticket to Vietnam because apparently they don't extradite to Vietnam. And then she was arrested like as they were about to get on the plane to go to Vietnam with Harvey, right? Her husband, Harvey. Is Harvey still among the living, or is he at the Endless Heaven buffet? Because I know nothing about the case, so I thought it'd be so fun to go in and watch it like as a juror, you know, starting from scratch. I have watched a little bit on Auntie Deb's channel in the morning at summer school. There was a little bit of Wendy's interrogation that I watched, and that was whack. Why did it take 11 years for them to charge Donna Adelson with this? Why? Why did it take 11 years? Somebody tell me. And Wendy is still out there flapping in the breeze. Apparently she's going to get immunity from the state if they call her. Charlie is alive. No, I know. Harvey. I meant Harvey, the husband. Donna's husband, Harvey. Oh, Harvey visits Donna regularly. Okay, so Harvey is still among the living. Here's Grateful Dead fan, 88. Oops. Hi, did you ever get to see Jerry live? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I got on the bus when I was very, very young. And I saw Jerry with the Grateful Dead at least 200 times. I never kept count like a lot of people kept count, but a very lot. And then I was in Colorado, in Boulder, at college in the 80s for all the Red Rocks shows and all the summer tours that involved Telluride, Park City, and everywhere. And I credit the Grateful Dead for showing me most of the country because of all the shows that I went to, followed around. And it's just 30-year anniversary since Jerry's death. I remember exactly where I was when Jerry died in 1995. Remember exactly where I was. So yes, the answer to that is yes. I even met Jerry Garcia in an elevator one time in Hartford at a show that I did not have a ticket to. And my girlfriend and I, she was a high school friend of mine, I think we were in college at the time, got into the elevator in a Hartford hotel. And we get in the elevator and there's Jerry Garcia and one security guy and us. And my friend Annie, she's a little excitable. And I can't believe they let us on the elevator. And she starts screaming, "Oh my God, Jerry!" And I'm like, Annie, be cool, be cool, be cool. And we started talking to Jerry about how we couldn't get a ticket for the show. It was Hartford Civic Center. I'll never forget this. And Jerry, for those of you who know, he spoke like he was sucking on a helium tank. He had a very, very high-pitched voice. And he was like, "Oh, girls, don't pay the scalpers." Because we're like, "Jerry, we can't get any tickets. And the scalpers are looking for $300 for front row. We really want to go to the show." He's like, "Girls, don't pay the scalpers. Just go to the side door over on the west side." I forget what side of he told us to go to at the Hartford Civic Center. And he said, "And just like wait until 20 minutes in. And usually people rush the doors and then you can just get in for free." He literally told us how to get into his show for free. In our dreams, we were thinking that he was just going to give us tickets to the show, Jerry Garcia, but he didn't. Nice meeting you too. Nice meeting you too. Maddie F says, "Yeah, I'm just following the trial for both Donna and Wendy's testimony." KBD says, "There's a missing pregnant teenager in Taunton, Mass. Last seen at the baby daddy's house." Yes, I did hear about that. And I also heard, did you guys hear this story on TikTok? Because my kids brought this story to me. They said that there are, and this was as of, I think, the 14th of August, 50 missing children in Virginia between August 1st and August 14th. Did anybody hear this story? Is anybody on TikTok? That's insane. I want to pull that up again because it's the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And you can pull it up by state. And your daughter told you about it too, Live Free Smurfana? Yep. You can pull it up by state and it tells you how many kids are missing in your state. I mean, this is like real. I'm looking this up for you because we like receipts and we're going to look it up. So let's pull up the receipts on this. Unless anybody has anything else more to say about Kelsey Fitzsimmons, but you know where I stand on this. And this is wild to me. So here's the NECMEC, as they call it on Law and Order. And this is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And you can find out, you can search missing posters, and you can search by state. So we can just search, let's say, Virginia. And let's just do from August 1st until today. Oh, now there's 25 missing. Well, that's interesting because the last time I checked, there were 50. That's still a lot for a 2-week period. And they all seem to be around 14, 15. A lot of them from Virginia Beach. $15, $16, $17. And I got into like the rabbit hole on this one. Call me Alice. I don't know what's going on there. And this is just the ones that were reported missing. Imagine if there were other ones who were runaways or have no one to look after them and did not report them missing. Lot from Virginia Beach. I don't know if there's some sort of smuggling ring going on. People say body parts. People say Wait, did I only ask for 25? Hold on. It just says search results 25. Let's take it back to, let's go back to July. Let's go July 1st to today in Virginia. 57. Okay. 57 children missing from July 1st to August 18th. 57 children. People say trafficking. It's also a port, right? So they can get in and out of there by boat. This is scary, and no mainstream media is talking about this. And when they do talk about it, they try and debunk it. But this is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's website. It would be interesting to pin these on a map. So anybody who wants to fall into the rabbit hole, here you go. Just go on their website. And there's 57 missing between July 1st and today. And I'm going to scroll through here just so you can see, in case you want to do a deep dive into any of them. I mean, I started going into some of them and trying to find out if they had any social media, and I couldn't even find anything like any TikTok accounts for a lot of these kids, or unless somebody took them down. Arlington, Fairfax County, Arlington County, Loudoun County. Here's two, I don't know, brothers or two. I mean, that could be just the same name spelled two different ways. Okay, I see what that is. And so let's go back and modify the search and just check for the same time frame in Massachusetts, how many kids went missing. We had 57 in Virginia, 21. More than double. Virginia JP says that's all Northern Virginia. Are you, Virginia JP, are you from the area? Are they talking about it? Is anybody talking about this? Since July 1 in New York, there are 30. Horrific. See, Virginia's looking into it now. See, fall into the rabbit hole. That's Massachusetts. There's 21 missing in that same time period. But it's insane. Looks like mostly marginalized community, right? I don't know. Not all Northern Virginia. Well, you guys, I know you guys will get on it. I know you guys will get on it because anybody will, you will. Let's see the percentage of you that are following. Oops. Donna Adelson, we're at 67%. Let me see how many votes we have. Only 1,300. We could do better than that. There's over 4,000 people in here. Could you guys please vote on that for me? Thank you. Thank you. Ah, Olivia's on it. Olivia says the disparity is apparently because Virginia State Police forwards every missing child case to NCMEC. According to NCMEC, Virginia is most proactive in sending cases to their website. So do you think that it's nothing out of the ordinary? You don't think that there's a crisis happening? If you don't follow Olivia Lambo on Twitter, follow her on Twitter. Chris CP1 says, my state says we only have 3. However, I know of 1 in our town currently, and she isn't showing on the website. Kids, my kids came to me with this. I'm like, I don't know. I want to see if any of you guys heard about it or knew about it. Virginia says, I'm just outside of DC. I haven't heard, not all Northern, but Fairfax, Arlington, etc. I'm just listening to, not watching the screen. Perhaps check for other periods of time to see if this number is an anomaly. Good idea. Good idea. Let's do that. All right, so let's go to, that was like a 6-week period. So let's go back to like April 1st to May 15th. And we'll search Virginia again. $16 for that 6-week period. Olivia says the weekly average is 98. Bridget says trafficking, probably these poor kids. It's so sad. So Olivia, did you already fall into the rabbit hole on this? Maybe it's because like Olivia said, maybe it's because Virginia is more diligent about uploading to their website, but this is the same. This is from, what did I say this was from? April 1st to May 15th, another 6-week period, and there was only 16 missing children at that time. Or maybe only 16 are still missing. Maybe that's what it is. What else do you want to talk about before we break for the day? Big difference, right? It is a big difference. No love of the traveling trooper. Have you heard any news about the Proctor files? No, I have not. I have not. Peggy says, nice to know that at least Virginia State Police are following the rules and reporting to the center. Yep. Anybody know what the 2 o'clock announcement on Taylor Swift was? Did she drop a single? Because, I got to go listen to it. The girl who died at the Hamptons? Nope. Nothing came out yet. A little bit of information came out, but it hasn't been made public, like the owner of the boat Ripple that she was found on. And I know I happen to have like mutuals with this guy, so I know people who know him apparently, but his name has been kept out of the papers, Toxicology says they're going to take a couple of weeks for the toxicology to come back on Martha Nolan, the girl who was the 33-year-old woman from Ireland who was found on a boat deceased at Montauk Yacht Club a couple weeks ago. Why does it take weeks for toxicology to come back? Can't they rush it? I mean, I don't know. Can't they rush it? He had a boat named Ripple. He's a deadhead. A boat named Ripple and a boat named Hell in a Bucket. And both of those boats were taken out of that marina and they're gone. They're gone from the Montauk Yacht Club, and he lives in Long Beach on Long Island. And apparently he owns an insurance company or an insurance agency. And apparently he had invested $200,000 into Martha Nolan's business, into her sportswear company, I guess you would call it. Swimwear company. And he was not her boyfriend. She had a boyfriend. That wasn't him. So whoever said they heard him running around on the docks saying, that's my girlfriend, apparently was not. So that's an interesting. Toxicology can take up to 6 months. They said it was only going to take a couple of weeks. Oh, the Taylor Swift announced it was a limited edition album cover, only available for 48 hours. And how fast will that sell out, Jessica? 10 minutes? East by East is a swimsuit company. Yep. We pulled up the website on the prior stream that I did on this. But they're keeping this guy's name out of all the papers. Like, people had to do a deep dive to find him, and then they put it out there on the other socials. I'm not going to name him because he's not a suspect. However, I do know who he is. I do know his name. And he's been able to keep his name out of the paper so far, which is unusual because, a lot of times mainstream media publishes whatever they can find. And they do. Kippy Hippie says, I'm not following Donna, but if you start to follow it on YouTube, I will definitely watch. I follow Melanie Little. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Lisa Macy says, I'm totally up in the air over Kelsey's case. I can't blindly believe her. Thoughts that rotate. Maybe fiance is lying. Maybe she is. What if he's not? And the child was in danger? Well, I think there's a lot of factors here, right? Even if he did get the restraining order legitimately, let's just say that he did. Let's just say everything that he said about getting that restraining order is accurate, just for purposes of this argument. Did the police officer, did the department who went to serve her with the restraining order and take her baby away, knowing that she had a history of postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis, knowing that she had just gotten her weapons back, did they handle it properly? That's the question that I have. That is the question that I have. Was it handled properly by the officers that responded to take her baby away? Karen says, should have been handled so different from the beginning. Thank you, Will Wallace. Will Wallace is here. Thanks, Will. Thanks for your 20. Fan characters sending hearts with their hands. So bizarre. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard today. Kindergarten cop says she never should have gotten them back. Well, that's the thing. Somebody cleared her to get them back. Right? Karis is calling Mr. Easter. Maybe that he would be a good person to talk to. Michael Easter. And Jessica says, why were 3 male officers sent? Mark says, where was the child when the gun was fired? One of the police officers had taken the baby. When they knocked on the door, she was sitting on the couch feeding the baby. Sarah A says, the quiet part out loud. Can't even believe that they're charging one of their own. That shows you how little respect they have for women in the department. And yeah, we looked at some prior lawsuits against this Chief Gray. I think his name's Charlie Gray. And he had some lawsuits against him for the way he treated women on the force, something like 40 officers on the force and maybe only 3 women. Desert Quill says, my question as well, this stinks. Hi, Nicola Maxwell. Lurking. Life on Makeup says, but he left the baby with her to go get the restraining order. So how concerned was he really for the baby if he thought she was a threat? Yeah. I don't know if they had been estranged since the incident that happened in Maine. I don't know if they were living together. But right, exactly. Crystal says, if she was being served with an RO, she would have to turn over her. Right, exactly. And they knew that, right? So they knew what they were going into, which is why I find it, I don't know, hard to believe. Yeah, the baby's father is a fireman in North Andover, FD. Nikki says, just went down the rabbit hole of what state has the most missing kids. The closest to Virginia is New York with 30 missing kids from July 1st to now. Thank you, Nikki, for your Venmo, for appreciating me. Oh, here's something else crazy that I found out yesterday. Thank you, Nikki, so much. So I was watching The Glare last night, and it was his birthday, but he didn't tell anybody that it was his birthday. And I was listening for like 3 hours, and I knew that it was his birthday, but he didn't mention it. And so I'm like, I sent him a happy birthday super chat. And he's probably going to kill me because then everyone knew it was his birthday. And apparently, I guess he doesn't like to celebrate his birthday. So he'll be mad at me, but I don't care. He blamed Aiden. I guess he thought Aiden did it, and he started like cursing. He's like, that MFS sucker. And so I sent a super chat, right? And I used my phone to send the super chat. And I sent a super chat for $50, and it billed my American Express card $54.36. Does this ever happen to you? First of all, since when are they charging a surcharge if you pay on your phone? Because if you pay on your phone and you have an iPhone, the only way that you can pay for a super chat is by using Apple Pay, right? Has that ever happened to you? Because it's never happened to me. Like if I buy a $50 super chat, it's $50. I've never had them charge me a charge. That is bullshit. Here's my bullshit button. And let me tell you something else I learned. In my deep dive, on this, those of you who don't know, if you're not creators, you don't know that YouTube takes 30% of all super chats that creators get. But if you pay on an iPhone for a super chat and you think you're super chatting, let's say for round number's sake, $100. Let's say you assume that you're sending a $100 super chat to a creator. Apple, if you're using your iPhone, off the bat, for the privilege of using the App Store, takes 30% of that super chat. So the super chat then goes down to $70, and then YouTube takes 30% of that. So the creator is really getting something only like $49. And I never knew that before. Apple takes 30% for all digital services on everything that is done on an iPhone in the App Store. Isn't that crazy? And that's why I put my Venmo, my Cash App up, because I'll still read your question, but I want you to know, as people who are donating money to your favorite creators, because, you know, you're tipping us, basically, is what it is, that when you do it on your iPhone or you do it on, I don't know if Google does it, but they take 30%, and then the rest goes to YouTube, and then YouTube takes another 30%. So it is a scam, and I found a bunch of videos on it, and nobody, I had no idea. I had no idea. I just put the QR code up because for some people it's just easier. But it's the same thing if like you buy a movie on your phone. Like let's say you buy a movie because it's a digital service. And you pay with Apple Pay because you have to if you're on your iPhone or your iPad. Apple takes 30% off the top before it gives whoever you're renting the movie from their portion. Yeah, that's why Turtleboy has a chat link. He's genius. I thought the reason he had a chat link was because YouTube demonetized him and he couldn't collect super chats, but really he's smarter. He's the smartest one of all because he started that. So there's that. And Music to My Soul says, yep, that's why my Amazon doesn't allow you to buy Kindle books through their app. They redirect you to your browser to check out. Very interesting. Right. And I got charged an extra $4 like processing fee. Isn't that crazy? And I have YouTube Premium too. So I don't know why they're giving me that extra $4 fee. I've never seen it before. And so it made me fall into this hole. He was demonetized, but I think he's back now. I think he's monetized again. I think. YouTube is owned by Google. I know. But it's like, it's a VIG that Apple takes for the privilege of being in the Apple App Store. It's nuts, right? But they did the same thing with Patreon because I fell into the rabbit hole on that, JoJo. Even creators I follow would say sub through Patreon. It's much cheaper than Apple Pay. No, because they did it again. They did it to Patreon. And so a lot of Patreon subscribers or creators had to increase their membership numbers to, at least Patreon gave them the option. You can increase your numbers by 30%, or you can keep it the same and take another 30% cut. Yeah, what is this? Ticketmaster? Gen and Toxic. Ticketmaster got in a lot of trouble for doing that, though. They've been doing that for decades. And now it's all in pricing, you know? So you don't see the fees that you're paying, which is kind of ridiculous, but you know, that's what happens. Yeah. Oh, hi, JW. I decided I would cover certain portions of it when I can. I can't do full-on trial coverage because I'm traveling for the next couple of weeks, just in case, but I can do recaps. And, you know, if there's like the day that Wendy testifies and I'm available, we could do it together. And so there's that. And Olivia says it's because Mel was making the super chat payment from the YouTube app on her phone. Right. Doesn't matter who owns YouTube. Rather, it's about the app being downloaded from Apple App Store on her phone. Yep. Yep. Nothing is free. Nobody knows. But it's like if you have an app, if you have an iPhone and you pay and you have the YouTube app and you pay through the app, that's what they do. Yeah, I'm not getting involved in any of the creator drama because, quite frankly, I just don't care. I just don't care about the drama. It's none of my business. People can have drama. It has nothing to do with me. Some of it may have to do with me, but like I said, like the other day when I was on with Nurse Kim, I'm like, once I turned 50, I have 0 Fs left to give. I have 0 Fs left. Like, I just don't care. I have enough drama in my house with 3 teenage daughters. The last thing I need is to worry about drama from other people out there who love to pull focus. And it's not for me. We don't do it here. So my opinion, it doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what my opinion is. You can have your own opinions. We don't talk about them here. That's why we have great moderators. We don't care. We don't care. We got to focus. We got to focus. We got to focus on the big picture, on the real injustices that are happening in society and in Massachusetts. And if these 50 missing children are a part of some ring, we need to take care of that too. And we need to free Aaron Spencer, for Christ's sakes. Credit cards are doing the same and have been for decades. Yeah, but the fee on that is like 4%, right? Usually only the stores see the charges, but it is why you see a lot of them must spend $5 to use it. But yeah, but now Freddie says, now a lot of places, if you use a credit card, will charge you the extra 4%. They'll have a cash price and a credit card price. And in New York, they're required under the law to tell you the difference. And they're not allowed to charge extra for a credit card. They are able to give you a cash discount, and it has to be worded that way on whatever they have to tell you about that. And so it used to be, I used to use American Express for everything because I would get the miles, and then you could turn the miles into plane tickets. And it makes a lot of sense if you're a business that spends a lot of money on an American Express card. And then all of a sudden now everyone's charging an extra 4%. Anyway, But this 30% VIG, I mean, that should be illegal, right? But they have no competition. The Apple App Store really doesn't have any competition. It's their way or the highway if you're an app developer, and that's who's really getting screwed, is the app developers and the creators, right? In my opinion. Dennis the Menace. Thanks for being here for 13 months. Don't like Apple, X, Amazon, and Disney, all rip-off companies. There you go. There you go. Yep, gas stations usually have a cash card and a card price and a cash price. That's why I go to Speedway, because it's the same price for card or for cash or card. But also they tell you, they disclose that to you. When you're paying a super chat on the iPhone with your YouTube app, they're not telling you, oh, just so you know, you think you're sending the creator $100, but you're really not. You're really sending $70 before YouTube takes their 30%. So there's no disclosure of that, right? And that's not fair to you. That's not fair to you, because you think something else is happening and it's not. And now that I probably said that, they'll probably strike my whole stream. Craig says Google Play Store usually has the same fees as Apple for the App Store. Hi, Mary. Can anyone explain how to become a member? The link for membership is underneath the video. You might have to close out of your chat, and then it'll say like to become a member, and then you could, but so if you're on your iPhone, you have to go into Chrome, or you can't do it from the app. Yeah, it's a whole weird thing. I know they're holding us hostage. They're holding us hostage, Mary. You have to go in through Safari or through Google Chrome to youtube.com and do it that way. And so there's that. Exactly. Just another shark in the tank, says, just another snark in the tank. Well done, Debbie Joe. Keep in mind, they're trying to discourage us from using cash for things too, right? That is right. A lot of venues now are cashless. Like if you go to a concert, it's cashless. You better have Apple Pay or a physical credit card, or you're not going to get a beer or whatever it is that you want, or a hot dog or a pretzel. Like they're cashless now. Nobody wants cash anymore, and nobody has change either. I mean, when I go to like pay for things with cash, they, usually just round up because they don't have the change, right? It's crazy. I love cash too. Big fan. Can't use cash anywhere, says Kim. It's insane. Olivia said, the whole story is so shady. This is Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Even the boyfriend calling her to the park earlier in the day and asking her to bring the baby, but then not showing up. He would have known law enforcement would be serving her later. No? Yeah, do you think it was a setup? Do you think it was a setup and was originally the plan, to serve her there? Thinking she would not have a weapon with her in the park with the baby? I don't know. It's very upsetting. Cheeky Mom says, I have a small gift shop and cash is king. I know. I always, when I go to restaurants, even if I'm paying with a credit card, I always tip in cash because I've been a waitress and I know what it's like. You like to get cash at the end of the night. And a lot of times the restaurants won't pay cash out at the end of the night. They put it in your check and then you get taxed on it. And that's one of the greatest things about waiting tables, is that you get cash at the end of the night. Thomas uses a flip phone. He doesn't care. Mary says, thanks, Melanie. They don't make it easy. I don't like drama, and I walk away from it all. Keep classy, people. Keep classy, people. All right. What's the next thing you want to cover, guys? I mean, assuming that the Karen Reed 1983 action does not drop this week on Pacer. Is it against the law to not accept cash? I don't think so, big old dog, because they're doing it everywhere. In all the states, they're doing it. I mean, when I was in New Hampshire, it was cashless, I believe. When I was in here in New York, it's cashless. Like at Madison Square Garden, I think it's cashless. A lot of places are cashless. So it can't be against the law if they're all doing it. It's against the law for them not to tell you that they're giving you a charge when you use a credit card, but they do that too. Francis Gigliotti says, a couple of people. All right, let me write that down. I have not followed that at all. Kindergarten cop says, if anyone doesn't like cash, you can send it to me at this address. Send me the money. Nick Cordova's case, 5 years, no arrests yet. This is KBD, Nick Cordova. Jumped the snark. That's a good one too. Maya says, I can imagine what it's like in your house. I have 3 daughters, all of which were drama queens as teens. Please tell me you have at least one boy. Oh, I do. I have 5 altogether, so good. But only 3 left in the house. Mama Mars, Jones Beach is for sure cashless. Yep, so that's another place I was at recently when I went to see my boyfriend Dave Matthews. No updates on Aaron Spencer other than we're going back in December for the pretrial hearing and then the trials to start in January. I don't have anything new on that yet. Robin. Oh, thank you, Cinnamon. Cinnamon Bits. I'm sorry I'm late, but I loved your show with Nurse Kim. Thank you. Appreciate you. Sean Souza. I got to catch up on that one too. I don't know what's going on with Sean Souza. That's a horrible case. That is a horrible case. That is a case out of Fall River. If you guys don't know about this one, he was a police officer down there. And he raped his stepdaughter, who I think was like 5 years old at the time. I'm summarizing, so I'm not sure of her exact age. Something like 5 years old. And another girl who had been visiting, who was a teen, and he had a jury trial, and he was found guilty by the jury. And then the verdict was overturned by the judge down there in Fall River, and he was just let out of jail very quietly right around Christmas time last year. And the judge said, he wasn't given a fair trial. We're going to give him another one. That's insane. And nobody has been hearing about that either. So we need to get back. And yes, Kim and I have been talking about doing a show once a month where it's like a slumber party. We do like a once a month slumber party. I think that sounds good. Yeah, it's horrible. All right. Thank you everyone for coming and to hang out with me for a little while today. I have a lot of packing to do and a lot of things to do. I will have my equipment with me while I'm traveling. So if anything happens, I will be happy to bring it to you as usual when I can. Like it might not be immediate, like I normally am ready to go live immediately at a moment's notice because, you know, my studio is here in my house. So until then, please do all the things that YouTube likes. Thank the moderators because they make it this great, classy, and safe place to be. And also smash the like button, comment respectfully. Make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube's been so wonky lately that it's been unsubscribing people. And also make sure you have all notifications set because it happened to me too. People that I subscribed to, I was not getting notifications for. And that is because YouTube either unsubscribed me or changed the bell to personalized notifications, whatever the hell that means. So there's that. Go Buffs. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy, everyone. I will see you real soon. If anybody's going to be at the forum on Friday night for my boyfriend, Dave Matthews, you just might see me there. See you guys all real soon. Peace.